So today let's talk about how to use Adobe Connect, and in order to log into Adobe Connect you're going to go to the Ingham ISD website, and once there to the portal, and then over here under Web Applications is the place that you can click to log in. It's the Adobe Connect admin. It's going to bring you to a page like this. I don't have my login yet, so I'm going to log in with Karen's information. It'll be your email address and then whatever password you set. And then this is going to bring you to a page that looks like this. And on this page, you'll notice any meetings that Karen has already set up. What you are able to do is you're able to keep the same meeting for each of the times that you use it. So if we want to create a new meeting, we'll go up here and click Create New. And then you can name it whatever you want. So I might name mine Social Studies PLC. And what's really nice is you can set a custom URL, so it's really easy for your participants to remember. So I might just type in Ingham Social Studies PLC or SSPLC. Nice and easy for people to remember. Put a summary time in there if I want, and then I can set the date and the time. And so, I might go in and I know that my meeting is going to be today. Sure, we'll call it today. And it's going to start at 8:45 and it's going to be an hour and 15 minutes. So that's how long the room will be open for. Want to make sure English is set. It should be the default. Here's the one you need to change. Right now the default is set at only registered users and accepted guests can enter the room. You don't want that because then you'll have to accept everyone that comes in. It's easier just to anyone who has a URL can enter the room, because you're probably not going to get any interlopers that want to just learn about PLC or destroy your meeting. That won't be the case at all. So just make sure that's okay. And then you do want to leave this where it says do not include any audio conferencing. That just means people can't call in on their phones. So not a big deal. When you hit next down here, it's going to ask you to select participants. So you could put in people's email address, but I found that it's just easier to give people the website and have them click on the website rather than send them invitations. And again, it gives you, it's real easy to send an email if you wanted to do that. We've always just simply given our participants the web address for the Adobe Connect, and it's worked out just fine. So now when you hit finish, you're going to see that your room is all set up. Your start time, your duration is all there. This is the URL that you'll send out to people. And once they have that URL, they'll click on it and it will actually take them in the room. Now, you'll notice mine, there was a little box that popped up with the add-in. It's because I've used it before on this computer, but if you haven't used it before on the computer, it's going to ask you to approve or download that add-in. So just as an FYI, that's what that is, and it's not a big deal. Your participants, they'll be asked to download something too, but it's pretty easy. Okay, so let's take a look around the room. Let me show you some important things, because there's a lot on here that you probably won't use, but just some things that you probably will use. And the first one is under meeting. So we'll start up here, and under meeting there's a lot, but there's really only two that you're probably going to use. And the first one is this audio setup wizard. And not only will you want to use that once you come into the room, but you'll want your participants to use it as well. And what that does is just make sure that your speaker and your microphone are working just fine. So a lot of times we would recommend that our participants wear some sort of headset just to keep out background noise, screaming children, barking dogs, things like that. So that is often helpful for people, and you will want to tell them to make sure that their headset is plugged in before they enter the meeting room, and you're going to want to make sure that you do the same. So the audio setup wizard is just going to make sure everything's all set. You can click here to play a sound. It makes sure that your speakers are working correctly. And then it's going to ask you which microphone you want to use, and you can pick the one obviously that works best for you. And then when you hit this record button, it's going to show you, oh look, it can see my voice, and when I get really excited it's louder, and if I'm talking quiet it's quiet. So I know that it's working. And then I can hit next, and it's going to test just the silence to make sure there's not too much background noise, and you just have to click this button and then you hit next, and you've been successful in setting up your audio. So that is exciting. Alright, so now let's go to this next one, and that's the layout. So there's a couple different layouts you can choose. And you can create your own, but I find it's easier. They've created a couple templates for you to just use those. So what we have here, we're on the sharing one right now, and the reason it's called the sharing is because the big giant box in the center of the screen is a way for you to share your screen. So you or any of the participants would be able to share what is on your desktop or a particular window in your desktop, and that would be the main thing that everyone sees. If you're not going to be sharing your desktop, this discussion one I could see as a really good one for our PLC sessions, because what we have here is it makes the chat box really big, so anyone can type in this. So I can type, "Hi everyone," and it will show up as I said that, and anyone else who's in this meeting can type and you have a running conversation, which is pretty cool. Here you're able to start your webcam, so I find it's pretty helpful for people to see your face, but if people are running on not great Wi-Fi at home, it's gonna cause Adobe Connect to be glitchy for some people. So just, use your best. You can try it, and if people are having trouble with it, it's easy to turn it off. What's really cool here, you can actually do a poll. So, I can ask people how many of you are aligned to the Common Core. And, I'm just going to put one answer per line. So it would be yes or no. And so I'm going to make that a multiple choice. I'm going to hit open, and here it is. And now as people vote, I won't be able to see who voted where, but I will be able to see how many. And if I want everyone to see the results of this, I can hit broadcast results, and everyone will be able to see how many people chose that. And then when I'm done, I can end the poll. If I want to make a new poll, I just hit this button right here and click New Poll. And you can see that there's multiple answers. So people could check different things. They could check more than just one thing, or a short answer you could ask, and then people would be required to respond to that question. And then here you can keep kind of a running tally of your discussion notes. So that's the second layout. The third layout is the collaboration. And again, this would, I think, be a great one for our PLC too. Again, you have the chat box. Here you have a place where people could upload files. So, hey, who has great videos that they're using for a world history class, and people could upload their files. And here you have a whiteboard. So people could write on it, they can doodle. Anything, something you might use potentially here. So those are the three layouts. You can reset, and it will reset all layouts. You can manage your layouts. Again, you can create your own layout if you don't like any of those. It's just a collection. Notice each of, this is a pod, this is a pod, this is a pod, this is a pod. Each of the boxes are a pod. So if you like, for the most part, okay, I like this sharing one, but I want to add a pod. Notice this button right here allows you to share any pods. So you can add a new sharing pod. So if you want 2 or more people to be sharing at once, you can add a note pod. The attendee list, you notice it has a check mark by it. That's because that pod is already there. You can add a pod for your camera and your voice. So that way people could see your webcam if they wanted to. And again, it's as easy as start my webcam. The chat one is already open. We have a chat right here. Web links, I like this one. And again, you can move them. Notice you can move them wherever you want. This is an easy one that you can add. So if you want to give everyone a link that they could click on, you go to this button right here and add a link. So I want everyone to be able to see Screencast-O-Matic because I think it's cool. I can hit OK, and then, oops, I'm terrible at spelling. So then it's right here and people can see that. So just like some different pods that you can add, and we can talk more about that obviously too. Audio, here's where you can decide if you want to give microphone rights to participants. If you want the people in your group to be able to speak on a microphone, you can do that right here and give it to everyone. You can enable single speaker mode where just one person can talk at a time, and just some other settings dealing with audio. But what might be easier is to have people raise their hand if they want to talk, and then when you hover over someone, you can make them a presenter or make them a participant and give them those audio rights. So that's an easy way to do that, and there's nobody in here with me, so I can't show you that right now, but once you hover over someone, you have a lot of options with what to do with them. Now we'll move on up here. And this gives you an opportunity to mute your speakers if you don't want to hear what's going on, or adjust the speaker volume. Here gives you an opportunity to connect your audio, and you definitely need to do that. Notice how as soon as I did that, this button came up, so it shows that I'm speaking right now. So do make sure if you even after you run the audio wizard, you do need to come here and click on connect my microphone, and then you can set your microphone level. You can mute your microphone if someone else is speaking. A couple different options there. And then the webcam. This one's cool. You're going to want to show your participants this one, and the reason that this one is cool is this is where participants, if they have, because sometimes if you give everyone microphone rights, you have people talking over each other and it's a little awkward, and if there's background noise where people are at, it's kind of tough to hear everything. So it's sometimes a nice job to only give them microphone rights. Like if someone raises their hand, they want to say something, you could give that person a microphone right. But they can raise their hand if they have questions. They can agree, disagree. They can show if they've stepped away. They can tell you to speak louder, speak softer, speed up, slow down. They can show that they're laughing. They can give you applause, and you'll see whatever they click, you'll see it right here. And when it's a participant that does it, you'll get a little alert that says that a participant has done that. And then to stop clapping, they actually have to go back in and undo that, like clear their status. So that gives you a little idea of what's on the top here. So let's work our way down the side. These are the pods that are already here. I've kind of talked to you about this one a little bit. It shows who's already in there. The host is you. Presenters would be anyone that you want to give an opportunity to share their screen or to talk. Participants are usually, it's more passive. Participants don't have the opportunity to speak and things like that. So you can move anyone though. Like you can notice I can make myself a presenter, I can make myself a participant, I could mute myself if I wanted to, and you would have the options for anyone that's in your room. The chat box, again, everyone can use that, and it's really easy. I think one of the last things I wanted to show you was you can record your meeting, and in fact you probably should record your meeting just so then you could show that you did have the meeting and you could show who was there. And to record the meeting, you just hit this record meeting button and give it a name, and obviously it doesn't matter. And then it's going to show you that the meeting session is being recorded. And you want to record obviously everything until it's done, and then you can hit stop recording. Now the recording will be available, so if someone wasn't able to make your meeting, you can send out a link to the recorded session. And to do that, you'd have to go back to our home page of Adobe, so our meeting information, and then this button right here is the recordings, where the recordings are housed. And so you can see here is the recording I just made. When you click on it, here's the link. So this is the link that you will send to all of your people to show them a link to the recorded session if they weren't able to make it. Back into the room. One thing, sharing your screen is a little, I'll show you one quick thing here. So I want to get rid of this camera and voice. I can just hit hide and it's gone. So an easy way, if you want to get rid of something, you can do that. Sharing your screen is a little tricky. You can share your screen, you can share a particular document, you can share a whiteboard. Probably the easiest is to just simply click share my screen. And I have two monitors right now, so I can decide which monitor I want to share with them. If I want to share my entire desktop, which is sometimes the easiest. If I want to share just a specific application, these are all the applications that are running right now on my computer, so I can click just one or the other. If I want to show just one of my windows, again, I can choose which one I want to show, but it's sometimes easier just to show the whole thing because then you can show them what you're doing. So notice once you do that, it'll say sharing full screen. There is something you do have to update when you decide to share your screen, so something will pop up and you'll have to download it. So now this is what participants are seeing. And so what's nice about having two monitors is you could keep your Adobe Connect room running on your other monitor and keep your screen share over here so you could see messages and things like that. But they are seeing everything. So to get back into the meeting, you just simply go back into here and it says your screen is being shared, and to stop, you just hit stop sharing and you're good to go. So I think that gives you a pretty good overview of Adobe Connect. So obviously you can come see me if you have any questions, but that just gives you a good idea of some of the basic features.